Tonight I'll be talking about Abraham Lincoln, and my analysis is based on information that I learned through our effective leadership communications class and through our textbook. I'll be going over 4 things tonight. It'll be Monroe's motivated sequence, persuasive communication, which is ethos, logos, and pathos, emotional intelligence, and I'll also be bringing in a few of Abraham Lincoln's famous speeches. First off is Monroe's motivated sequence. From our professor, Chad, he gave us 5 steps. We need attention, need, satisfaction, visualization, and action. Attention is to gain the interest of the listeners. The need is convincing the audience that there is a problem. Satisfaction is provide a solution to the problem you presented in the need step. The fourth step is satisfaction. The fourth step is visualization, which is explain the personal benefits will be for them if they adopt your solution. And then action is to tell your audience exactly what you want them to do and how they can do it. Next, so the speech I'm going over is Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, 1863. The attention is gained attention by using words to signal that he was going to have a narrative. The need was the problem was that we did not see people as equals and halted people's freedoms. For satisfaction, we had to create a sense of unity in the way against slavery. Visualization was our nation needed to grow, so our action was the Union must win the war on slavery at all costs. Next is persuasive communication. Through our notes from Chad, ethos is a persuasive appeal that relates to the speaker's credibility. A speaker's credibility is based on the audience's perception of a speaker's competence, trustworthiness, charisma, and similarity. Next, logos. It's a persuasive appeal that relates to logical proof, which is based on evidence and reasoning to support arguments. Evidence consists of supporting material such as illustrations, facts, definitions, and statistics. Lastly, pathos, which is a persuasive appeal that relates to emotional appeal. Emotional appeals can be made using emotion-arousing words, illustrations, descriptions, and or nonverbal messages that are designed to arouse a variety of emotions such as pleasure, fear, happiness, and frustration to persuade the audience. So for the persuasive communication of ethos, I used Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address in 1863. So it was the ideals of equality and freedom are worth dying for. So technically ethos was not directly used in the speech, but the audience already respected his authority and trustworthiness since he was the president, and he was known for being honest and kind. Next, for persuasive communication logos, I used the speech Peoria speech in 1854. Lincoln dismissed arguments that climate and geography would keep slavery out of Kansas and Nebraska. So Lincoln attacked the morality of slavery itself. He argued that the slaves were people, not animals, and consequently possessed certain natural rights. And he quoted, "If the black is a man, why then my ancient faith teaches me that all men are created equal and that there can be no moral right in connection with one man's making a slave of another." And my source was from the Abraham Lincoln Encyclopedia. Next, the last persuasive communication was pathos, and I used his speech, The Temperance Address, in 1842. So Lincoln angers his listeners by advocating persuasion and reason to get people to quit drinking. He tried connecting the church and loved ones to the emotional appeal that alcoholism has a solution. So next is emotional intelligence. From dictionary.com, emotional intelligence is skill in perceiving, understanding, and managing emotions and feelings. So EI is effectively used to emphasize with others and to overcome challenges to diffuse conflict by understanding someone else's emotions. So for my speech, or not for my speech, but for emotional intelligence, I use self-awareness and self-regulation. Lincoln was not merely aware of the emotions of others. He also possessed an acute awareness of his own emotional needs. So he possessed a powerful emotional intelligence. Lincoln was both merciful and merciless, confident and humble, patient and persistent, and able to mediate among factions and sustain the spirits of his own countrymen. So a few of Abraham Lincoln's famous speeches was a temperance address in 1842. This advocated persuasion and reason. His farewell address was a message to his hometown friends. The Gettysburg Address demonstrates mastery of thought and expression. And his second inaugural address was Lincoln's deep political and theological understanding. And in conclusion, I went over how Abraham Lincoln used Monroe's motivated sequence, how he used ethos, logos, and pathos with his persuasive communications, and how emotional intelligence was used. And then I also explained some of Abraham Lincoln's famous speeches and what they meant. And here are my sources.